Good morning, students. Last class, we have started operating system support in distribution system. In that, we have seen so many concepts: the responsibility of operating systems, the components of operating system. After that, we have started the creation. What is the creation of new process? How we will create new process? This topic we have discussed in last class. This copy of write how before write and after write, these topics we have discussed in last class. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the thread concept in distribution system. In C, in this thread concepts in distribution system, we need to know about the multi-threaded clients. Okay. Coming to the threads, here thread is nothing but it is a smaller task or small piece of program. The process is divided into small tasks. We name them as thread, and the advantage of these threads is all are running simultaneously, and the process execution will be simultaneously, and this is called as the multi-threaded supporting. And coming to the 4 categories of threads, these 4 also we have discussed in last class: responsiveness, resource sharing, economy, and utilization of multiprocessor architecture. Now let's move on to the new topic today. Very important one, that is architectures for multi-threaded servers. Architecture for multi-threaded servers. Here on the screen, we are seeing one client and one server. Here we are having, see, in this multi-threaded environment. Multi-threaded means, see here in the client we are having 2 threads. One thread is responsible for generating results, and one thread is makes request to the server. That means this particular thread makes
తాగావా ఇప్పుడు అంతేగా లేదుగా కొట్టమ్మా ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు
see here in this architecture we are having 2 threads in client process. One thread is responsible for generating requests to the server process, and one thread is responsible for generating the results. See here, this is the thread which make requesting to the server. These are the n number of requests. These n number of requests are made by this thread process, and these are queued in the receipt and queuing. These requests are accepted by the server and queued. These are queued. These are the n number of threads, and this is the input and output of the server given to the client. Here, this thread is responsible for generating the results. Okay, this is the multi-threaded servers. Here we are having multiple threads at the client. Multiple threads at the client. See here. That is the multi-thread process, right? The next one is the alternative model is the alternative server threading architectures. Here we are having three threading architectures. One is thread per request, second one is thread per connection, thread per object. This is multi-thread servers. Here, this is the architecture we have seen. The first one is thread per request architecture. The second one is thread per connection architecture. Third one is thread per object architecture. Here, see first one, thread per request. Here, see here, in thread per request, mainly this model handles each request from a client in a separate thread control. Here, in this model, each request from the client kept in a separate thread control. Mainly, this model is useful for the servers that can handle long duration of request. Let's take an example. Long duration of request example is such as database queries like that. These are coming under the long duration request. I am repeating once again, thread per request architecture. Whenever the client requested a service from the server, then that server will kept these all requests in a separate thread control, and mainly this will be used for long-term handling of requests. In case of DBMS database queries, in those models we are using this thread per request. Let's move on to the next model. Thread per connection architecture. Mainly this thread per connection architecture. See here we are having a set of connection threads, and each of which is dedicated to handle a separate client for duration of a connection. See here, let's take an example. What I told you. This thread per connection architecture is having a set of connection threads, each of which is dedicated to handle a separate client. That means one connection is for one client. That means each of that which that dedicated to handle a client for the duration of its connection. That means as long as the client is connected, all requests and all requests and all replies happens through that connection only. This is known as thread per connection architecture. We will see briefly later. Just I am telling the third one is thread per object architecture. See, this thread per architecture model associates each active object in the server process. See here, thread per object, each object in the server process with a single thread at one time. Repeating once again, this model associates each active object in the server process with a single thread at one time. Each request for an object establishes each request. Suppose a client process requests an object that was in the server, that each request for an object establishes a association between the dispatch thread and the object. Okay, here all the requests are queued. Suppose let's take an example. We are having some objects in a server process. The client process requested that whenever the client process requests, that is known as remote object, right? That is remote object, right? Those each request that for the object establishes an association between the dispatch thread and an object. Okay, this is known as thread per object. I will show you in the brief. See here, first one, thread per request. This IO thread spans a new worker thread for each request, and that worker destroys when it has processed the request and against the designated remote object. Here see, for every request, after completing that request, we need to destroy the connection between the client and server. This architecture is having the advantage that threads do not attend for a shared queue. Threads do not attend in a shared queue, and throughput is potential and maximized. Here, the throughput is also high. The main disadvantage of this thread per request is overhead of thread creation. That means for every request, thread per request means for every request from the client, we need to create a thread. I'm repeating once again, the major disadvantage of this thread per request model is for every request, a client process needs to create a thread. For each request, suppose we have n number of requests, we need to create n number of threads. This is an overhead of this thread per request. Now coming to the thread per connection architecture, it associates a thread with each connection. It associates a thread with each connection. See, this is a server process. These are the connections. These are the connections. See, these connections are mainly for accessing the remote objects. Who will access the remote objects? The client process will access the remote objects. For that, we need a connection. Here, the server creates a new worker thread, and the worker thread, when a client makes a connection and destroy the thread when the client closes the connection. As long as the connection is alive between the client and the remote object, there is no problem. Once it has been completed, the client closes the connection. In between, the client may make many requests over the connection. That means, the difference between the thread per request architecture and the thread per connection architecture. In the previous one, for every request, we need to create one thread. Note down this point, students. For every request, we need to create a thread. In the second thread per connection architecture, by using single connection, we can request. That means by using a single connections, a client can make many requests to the server processes. Okay. That means one client can make a request to the remote object by using a single connection, one or many requests. It is the difference between thread per connection and thread per request. Last one is thread per object. Here, the thread per object architecture associates a thread for each remote object. This is the different one. It associates a thread with each remote object. An IO thread receives the request, use them for the workers, but this time there is a per object queue. That means, suppose here, this is with respect to object. Suppose one process got request, one client process got requested to access the object which is in the remote server. Suppose more than one client, suppose n number of clients are requested to access the object which is in the remote server. These all client processes got queued. That means here the object is maintaining the queue. See, this is the three different alternative server threading architectures. And in each of these last two architecture, last two means the connection architecture and the object architecture. The server benefits from lowered the thread management. The server is getting less lowered thread management overheads compared to the thread per request. Suppose take an example of thread per request. For every request, the server is hitting a thread. The server is hitting a thread process, thread request. That means threaded lowers the hitting ratio of the request from the client. This is the advantage of last three models, that is thread per connection and thread per object model. Now, the next topic is in the threads. The next subtopic is threads within clients. Threads within clients. This we have seen in the previous slide also. Here, threads can be useful for both clients and servers. Why? Because by using the threads, the client can request. By using the threads, the client can get the results from the server. The server can able to send the results. The client can able to send the requests. Here, see the following figure. I already shown you in the previous slide. This is a client process. The first thread generates the results to be passed to a server by remote method. What they're saying, the first thread generate results to be passed to a server by remote method invocation, but does not require a reply and able to continue computing further results. See here, this one, this thread one generates the results, to be passed a server by remote method invocation. Now, what is the responsibility of thread 2? This thread 2 makes a request to the server. Okay. These are the requests I told you. These are the n number of requests will be queued. And these n threads got queued. These n threads will be received by the receiver server process and will be able to generate the results. Now, next topic, threads versus multiple process. The difference between threads versus multiple process. Here, a multi-threaded clients are evident of examples of web browsers. See, the difference is, first one is, this is the difference between multiple processes with threads. Okay, creating threads is much cheaper than a process. That is about 10 to 20 times cheaper than creating a thread is cheaper than creating a process. Here, switching to a different thread in same process. Why? Because the process is divided into threads. So switching to a different thread in same process is much cheaper. Okay. Process to process switching is different. Within the process, the thread to thread switching is different. This is 5 to 50 times cheaper than the process to process switching. Now, threads within the same process can share data and other resources more conveniently and efficiently. Here, process communication is different. Here, within a process, the threads will share the resources more conveniently and efficiently without copying any messages. Last one, the threads within a process are not protected from each other. Here, this is the one more disadvantage. The threads within a process are not protected from each other. Okay, these are the some differences between the threads versus multiple processes. See here, the table represents the state associated with each execution environments and threads. See here, the first field is execution environment. The second one is a thread. See here, address space tables, communication interfaces, and open files. Coming to the thread saved the processor registers and priority and execution state. That means that is blocked state. Coming to the next one, semaphores and other synchronization objects. The thread is the software interrupt that handling the interruptions. Now last one is the list of thread identifiers that will be in thread execution environment identifier. That means this table represents the execution environment and how the thread will be created for that respective execution environment. Okay. Till this topic here, see, before you need to know. Here in this unit, the operating system support, we have seen the introduction, the operating system layer. The operating system layer means we have seen in the operating system layer about the middleware, and we have the operating systems components, those topics, and protection. Processes and threads. Okay, now here we are processes and threads. Okay, after this we need to discuss about the address space and creation of new process threads. Okay, let's move on. Coming to the thread programming, this is for your understanding. I've shown you the content of syllabus. Coming to the thread programming, here the thread programming is the concurrent programming. Concurrent programming, nothing but a process can be divided into multiple number of threads, and all multiple threads are by resource sharing, and by sharing the resources, they can execute. They will execute concurrently. That means simultaneously. Here, much threads programming is done in a conventional language such as C programming, with the thread for library. Here, the C threads package developed for the Mac operating system, the POSIX thread of IEEE 1003. These are the different type of threads. The thread will be executed like the thread groups will be the thread group, the runnable target, and the starting time, and run and start. Okay, this is the thread programming. First, see what is a thread identity. What is a thread lifetime? Here, this is with respect to Java. A new thread is created on same Java virtual machine. A new thread is created on the same Java virtual machine and its creator in the suspended state. After it is made runnable, first the thread is created in a suspended state. Suspended state means all IO operations will be blocked. After it made runnable with start, see, after it made runnable with start, here I am showing you start method, it executes, run is here, it executes the run method. Okay, it executes the run method of an object designated in its constructor. Hope you understand, dear students. Whenever the thread is created in a same Java virtual machine, that will be in the suspended state. All operations has been blocked. After it is made runnable with start method. Okay, so by using start method, the thread may be in runnable. It executes. How it will be executed? By using run method of an object designated in its constructor. Here, the Java virtual machine and the threads on the top of all execute in a process on top of underlying operating system. Here, a thread ends its life when it returns to a run method. See here, when the thread will be ended, the thread ends its life when it returns from run method. It returns from run method means after execution, or in some cases after destroy method has been called. When the thread will be ended after calling a run method, sorry, after returning to a run method, that means after execution, or when its destroy method has been called for. After destroy method is called, the thread is no longer available. Okay. Here, the programs can manage the threads in groups. The programs can manage the threads in groups. Every thread belongs to one group. Every thread belongs to one group, which it will be assigned at the time of creation. See, while creation of the thread there itself, it will assign to one group. Okay, here thread groups are useful when several applications coexist on same Java virtual machine. Here, so many applications are running on existed, and this group phenomenon will be used when several applications are running on same Java virtual machine. Okay. Here, the thread groups also facilitate to control the relative priorities of threads. Okay, this is useful for browser running the applets and the web servers running programs. We know the web server running program is called as servlet, which create the dynamic web pages. See, these threaded groups. Okay, whenever the thread is created, whenever the thread created a thread, it will be assigned to a group. This thread group also facilitate the control of relative priorities of threads. This particular point is useful for browsers running applets and servlets. Okay. This method, the Java thread constructors and management method. See here, the thread is thread group. This is thread group and the runnable target and the string name. This one creates a new thread. See, this process will create a new thread in the suspended state. I told you, whenever the thread creates, it will be in the suspended state, which all belongs to group, and the identifier as the name of the thread will execute a run method of target. Okay, first we need to, before execution of the thread, we need to set the priorities. That is, see, this is set priority by using, this is set priority and get priority. This will sets and returns the thread priorities. Next, run. This we know to execute the method, and also it makes a runnable. That means simply it can say it will be execute the method. Next, start. Start is a runnable position. That means changes the state of the state from suspended state to runnable state. While creating the thread, it will be in the suspended state. After the start method, it will be transformed to suspended to runnable. Next, sleep. Okay, when the thread will sleeps, It causes the thread to enter into suspended state for specified time. Okay, the sleep will be the for the specified time when the thread enters into a sleeping. Next, yield. It causes a thread to enter into ready state and invokes the scheduler. Last one, destroy. This one is used to destroy the thread. Okay, this is the Java thread constructor and management method. In tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss about the thread synchronization, okay, and thread scheduling methods. Okay, thank you, students.